Later.
Broadcasting now. Okay, we're recording. And okay. Morning, everybody. We're letting everyone come in. Sarah Breithaupt's here today.
Good morning.
Happy Friday, everybody. That's going to be the Mindful Job Search. Woohoo. Put our minds at ease.
Yes.
All righty. Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Jim Fergal. I'm the facilitator of the Job Club, workNet, DuPage.org. Today, the topic is going to be the Mindful Job Search with Sarah Breithaupt. Should be interesting about how to keep your mind at ease in these trying times with job search and lockdown all thrown on top of each other at the same time. So some of the WorkNet staff that will be on here today, myself, I'm the manager of Job Seeker and Veteran Services in charge of doing the workshops. Javon Morris and Jennifer Wigeman are counselor trainers, workshop facilitators. Jennifer will be on today helping me monitor the Q&A and the chat room. So we are funded by the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, the WIOA grant, and we have a virtual job club, which we do on Fridays, which is open to the public. And the job search workshops, once you sign up with us, we have special workshops for job search. We have training grants up to $10,000. I'm going to tell you how you can hear about this in a little bit, since we are grant funded, you do have to apply. And we have a layoff to launch workshop every Tuesday, and I'm going to go there now. So any event that we have that's open to the public or that we talk about, worknetdupage.org. And I recommend you go to worknetdupage.org. We have a get started form on worknetdupage.org. It's a questionnaire. One of my staff will contact you. If you are interested in participating in the grant, you will be sent an application, and you can fill that out. The training grant will depend, and they will explain this if you haven't already attended or you don't already have a counselor with us. Layoff to launch workshop. And they will talk about how you can qualify and upgrade your skills and continue to receive unemployment during that time. And there's no need to pay that back. The grant depends. I always say first you have to qualify, and second you have to justify why you need the training. You can't, one of the things people try to do is go from one high growth occupation to retrain into another, and we can't do that. The law, the Workforce Investment Innovation Opportunity Act, is the law by Congress So we can only do short-term upgrade training. Alrighty, so you can sign up. It's every Tuesday at 9:30. If you have already filled out an application or sent in a questionnaire, you don't need to send in another. And you can sign up at for 9:30 every Tuesday and hear about this. It's on our website. Go to get started. Little Zoom etiquette. Please be courteous. Please keep everything relevant. If you are making any bizarre comments or inappropriate comments, I will take you out of the Zoom seminar. The Q&A function is here today. If you have questions, please put them in the Q&A. I will bring them up to Sarah as she's presenting, and as long as it's, the questions are relevant to the topic. The chat room, if you want to make comments, again, relevant to the topic, we can, Jennifer and I will answer some things there. But if there's a comment or there's a question, again, I will interrupt politely Sarah and let her know that the question is coming up here. Okay. Where am I? Okay. This presentation will be recorded. Probably we have to download it, edit it, and things like that. Probably late Monday or by Tuesday, it will be on our website. worknet.dupage.org/webinars is where you can find this workshop as well as previous job clubs that we have presented. There's a wealth of information on there. I encourage you to take the time and listen to some of the workshops that job clubs that we've had. All righty. So at this time, we're going to talk about, actually, Sarah Breithaupt. She's a facilitator of the Lisle Township Job Club, as well as the Career Networking Center in Naperville on Wednesdays, I believe, correct?
Wednesdays at 9 a.m.
Yeah, the job club there as well, and is the counselor for Lisle's Township. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen, and we'll transition here for Sarah. Okay.
Okay. And so I'm going to upload my screen now.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Oh, it says it's disabled.
Okay, well, okay, let's see here. Isn't it always the way?
Yes.
Okay, let's go back here.
Okay, let's see. So let me give it a try now. It still is disabled.
Okay.
You're sharing your screen with me, but it's not allowing me to share mine.
Okay, let's just, let me just go in here because every time I go in here, there's always something different, isn't it?
That's right. So, but we have to be prepared for the unexpected and kind of go with it.
Yeah.
Jim, you need to make her co-host.
Okay, alrighty.
Just go to participants and then you can change it out. I can't do it from where I'm at.
Okay.
Sorry for the delay, everyone.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Okay. Thanks, okay. Jennifer. I was wearing out the toolbar. Okay, so stop share. You should be able to do it now.
Okay. Let's see, why is it not showing? I have it on my screen, but it's not. Okay, here we go. Okay, just give me one moment, please.
Okay.
Okay, I think very good. Well, thank you so much, Jim and Jennifer. I am so happy to be here talking about something I am passionate about, mindfulness, and how we can apply it to job search to not only protect our well-being, but be most efficient and productive and resilient in our job search. So as Jim said, I am Director of Youth and Family Services for Lisle Township, meaning I am basically their counselor. I counsel on personal issues. I'm a licensed clinical mental health counselor. But I also, my other topic of passion is career counseling. So I focus on that as well, you know, and I like to look at the whole person and how that impacts job search. And I find that the more mindful we are, meaning being aware and being present to the moment we're in, the better we are able to manage it and do our best job in job search and project the best presence for the things we do when we're interacting with other people. So also, you know, as Jim said, I facilitate the Lisle Township Job Club, which is hosted by the Career Networking Center. And you're very welcome to join us. It's Wednesdays at 9 a.m. I will have more information about that on the next screen. But today I decided to focus on presence and presence in job search. Presence is the state of being present in the here and now. It's a state of awareness of the moment and the state of being and dealing with what is right now. But you may wonder, what how can we have presence, or how can we be present when we can't always be physically present? So that's one of the challenges of these COVID times that we're in right now. So like all of you, I have spent a lot of time at home lately. I've only been to my office two times since mid-March. I was last presenting the Mindful Job Search, another variation of this. It's such a broad topic, I keep finding new things to address for my Mindful Job Search series. But I was last there, as Jennifer just reminded me, Friday the 13th, right before we shut down in March, presenting on this. So I hope some of those people have been able to use this. But if we're in the moment, if we're present to the time we're in, that's where we have the most control. And that's where we can best create our future. So with that, I encourage you to be here now so you can get the most out of that moment. And with that, I ask you to take a couple deep cleansing breaths where you're at right now. Just take a couple slow and deep breaths. Release your burdens and your thoughts. Breathe down deep into your belly, into your stomach, and then breathe back up. You can do it through your nose, you can do it through your nose in your mouth, but just cleanse yourself, reset yourself. This is one way to be most present, is to just focus on your breath. It's always with you. It's a great way to focus on the here and now. So here's a screen where it tells you if you would like to join our job club. You can find a link and to register. The URL is too long to put on this whole screen. So just go to careernetworkingcenter.org, look on their calendar of events, find us at 9 a.m. on Wednesdays, and find the link there. And it stays the same every time. Again, put your questions in the Q&A and Jim will interrupt when need be. I'm happy to address any comments and questions, but a definition for those of you who aren't as aware of what mindfulness is, although I know we've all heard about it, is awareness that arises through paying attention on purpose in the present moment and non-judgmentally. Mindfulness is a broad spectrum of approaches and techniques. We're not getting in the lotus position today. We're not doing meditating, burning incense, saying though feel free to do that at home if you're so inclined. Instead, we're just going to focus on the most basic of mindfulness tenets or foundations, the very essence of mindfulness. It requires no extra time, no special techniques. Some people think they don't have time for mindfulness, but really, all you need to do, and you don't need to do anything more, is just be in this moment. Just be. and see how that can support yourself in job search. I encourage you throughout this presentation just to take a couple of deep cleansing breaths every so often and just really pay attention to your breathing and see how you feel at the end. Boy, the COVID pandemic has really been an exercise in mindful awareness like no other. We've really had to be focused on the present moment. It's literally been a matter of life and death for us. This marquee is something my husband shot a photo of. We were in Holland, Michigan, and it was on their shuttered theater, and they put that up. But this is one of the things we're always having to be aware of now these days. Washing our hands, putting our mask on, socially distancing from others, being alert of our health, watching for any telltale symptoms. And hopefully this has focused you even more so on something we always say and always know we need to do, and on self-care. But taking care of ourselves in a positive way, always being aware of ourselves, how we are in the moment, being situationally aware. We've really had to learn how to do during the COVID times. And at first I remember, as you all do, there was panic. We had to shut down tightly. Some of us hoarded TP. But we went out, we put gloves on. I remember that those days, I'm sure you do too. Now things are relaxing, sometimes too much perhaps, but we want to keep things in balance and stay open and aware to each moment in a mindful way without getting lost in worrisome and catastrophic thinking. So I like this as an illustration to stay in the present. It's known, psychologists know, and you may know yourself too, a wandering mind is an unhappy mind. If you take yourself out of the moment, you're often thinking back to the past, maybe the good old days or the job that you once had, or you're looking forward to the future, perhaps getting really anxious. You're time traveling, or you're wishing you were someplace else, like this woman in the middle, wishing she was on the beach. Harvard psychologists have studied it, and they say that we spend an average of 47% of our time lost in thought. We're wandering forward, we're wandering backward. But focusing on the here and now, where we are, is where we're most in charge of our lives. Is where we're calmer, we're better able to respond and really be in control and in charge of what we're doing right here, right now. Having open and receptive awareness, having flexible thinking versus rigid, closed thinking. So people who are angry or upset about the job they've lost or feeling like very frustrated and breaking through, our minds change, our brains actually change. We become more rigid and closed to the opportunities that could be right in front of us. Whereas if we're staying and focusing right here, right now, going day by day, moment by moment, breath by breath, we're seeing things more clearly. We're not denying or distorting what's going on, and that strengthens us. It gives us resilience in the face of difficulties, able to face the challenges and the stresses of this moment and view them more as a stimulus and a catalyst from growth. I don't know about you, but some of my best growth has come out of the harder times in my life, even leading me to become a counselor and make that career transition was born out of a difficult period and something that couldn't change, that I had to manage. But I grew from it and found a new calling. So rather than being overwhelmed, fear and despair, look for the opportunity in the now. So these days, of course, we tend to think of pre-COVID and post-COVID, but what if we stay focused in the here and now of job search? The ruminating thoughts, the worries take us out of the present. When we worry, we tend to feel like we're preparing ourselves in a way, so we'll be prepared for what might happen. But it really drains our energy, and it really doesn't prepare us the way we may think it does. Most of the things we worry about never happen anyway. So it's better to be focused in the moment we're in. Things you can do, very concrete things you can do. Change the channel. I use this with children I counsel too, but change the channel, like you're changing the dial on your TV or whatever. Change the channel. You are in control of your thoughts. You don't have to be victim to them. You can change your thoughts. You can, switch to something happy, switch to something productive, get out of your head, do something physical, take a break, go for a walk if you're caught in a negative thought loop. Pay attention to those thinking patterns we have, the negative thinking patterns, the perfectionistic thinking patterns, the circular thinking. Ground yourself physically. This works in an interview as well, too. Plant your feet on the ground. Feel very grounded. Take a couple breaths. Be aware of where you are and in this moment, anytime that you go out of the moment. View any distressing thoughts or feelings as guests in the house. Let them pass on through. Sometimes just the way we look at something can help us deal with it differently. Or if we externalize things, that can help us in dealing with things, and more about that. But, these days too, now more than ever, our attention is easily hijacked. There's breaking news updates, there's social media posts, press conferences, statistics. There's a fine line between being informed and being obsessed or being addicted to the news. But unless you're a news editor at a TV station or a charge nurse, a lot of, that can wait, contain it, save it for later. Be really focused on what is your mission and what is going to have the most impact on my life and what is going to get me where I want to be. Be very focused on the priorities of every day. Be alert to the choice points in your job search. Though we're not always aware of it, we face numerous choice points throughout the day. We need to be aware of how we prioritize and what we choose to do. We need to stay in control and strong. Anytime we get into the blame game or I'm told they won't look at me or something like that, that takes you out of control. Just really pay attention to every choice you make. The other day in Job Club, we were talking about if you win in the morning, you win the day. Or, you either control the day or it controls you. And we talked about how people start off their days strong, ready to move forward, the things they do. Numerous people talked about morning exercise, going out for a run. One man said something about it helps the filing cabinet in his brain and to be clear about what he needs to do. Others said meditation or prayer really helps to center them so they can really get started and be their most effective. We are the result of our choices, and we face daily choices and trade-offs. They're often not well marked, but with more awareness and present moment awareness, you can better see the choices before you. I often find with clients, I'm often pointing out opportunities that are right in front of them that they're not seeing for one reason or another. You obviously may not be aware of some of the opportunities you may be missing. So you want to be situationally aware. You want to be very rooted in the present moment. Always be asking, what am I doing right now? What's one more thing I can do to help me move forward? At the end of the day, what's one thing I can do right now that'll help make tomorrow better? Sign up my Job Club said, do something today your future self will thank you for. Something else I think about is we all go to these webinars and workshops and collect and hear a lot of great ideas, but how many are we implementing? How often do we leave and never do any of those things? One thing I've done myself and I recommend is, if you have a notebook or wherever you keep your notes, keep a running list on the inside cover, or maybe electronic. Keep a running list of all the good ideas you hear. And then when you get stuck, go back to that list and pick off another thing on that list and do that. It could just be the change you needed to turn your job search around and get where you need to go. Another thing one choice we have these days is our very presence in the present. So, our digital presence. Just like in a meeting too, but another thing to be aware of is beware of resting Zoom face. Look at this woman. She looks very passive. She looks bored. Be aware of how you're coming across. Look and act engaged. Sit up straight, put your shoulders back, talk, help other people. The more engaged you are in the meeting you're in or where you are, the more you're going to get out of it, the more you're going to enjoy it. In a job club, don't hide behind an avatar. It makes you look transactional and like you're not engaged. Really participate. Help other people. They will help you. If you're in tech, look at, I've had people who are in tech and they, try putting up a background, but they're not using the green screen. And so there's this weird effect of them going in and out of the background and they're not showing off their technical skills. Be present, to have presence. Think about in interviews, any experienced interviewer can sense if you are not really paying attention, focused, listening to them. So if in your mind, you're thinking ahead to your answer, or you're worrying about something or whatever, they don't always know what's going on, but they know that you're not engaged and you're not going to have presence, even charisma, or make much of an impression on them unless you're just totally focused on them and in the moment. And you're missing some key signals and in body language and everything else, or even what they're asking if you're not totally focused. So really listen and then take a pause and answer. And Jim, are there any questions or comments?
Not yet.
Not yet.
So
Okay.
the only comment is excellent reminders. Thank you from Suzanne.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, and that's a good point too. And I meant to say that at the beginning is that, some of these likely you've heard before, but they are reminders. And, even if you've heard something before and, oh yeah, I know that, but are you doing it? So, I just hope that this helps you in how you might approach things moving forward, and reminders are good. So again, what presence do you project? Here's a great quote. Your smile is your logo. Your personality is your business card. How do you leave others feeling after an experience with you becomes your trademark? We are all our own calling cards. We are all our own products of what we are putting out there, what we are marketing about ourselves. So we've all, I'm sure, been in job clubs where somebody is very negative, complaining, venting. We have to remember, and I'm a mental health counselor, but we have to remember job clubs are not therapeutic support groups. They are business meetings. Now, even though it's a business meeting, I can say in our job club, things are relaxed. We do have a lot of laughs, even some fun and everything. So they're not stiff, but they are business meetings. We're all each other's potential referral sources. In job club, if I see somebody who's struggling or whatever, I'll approach them after. We need to take it offline. I'll work with them afterwards or whatever. But in job club, you want to come across as positive and constructive. you want to present yourself as somebody that somebody would be willing to refer you to one of their close contacts and know that you will present yourself well. If they have any question about that, they're not going to refer you. You're not going to know all the opportunities you're missing. So Job Club is not a place to talk about, your age and nobody will respond, or any of the other things that I hear people venting about. That becomes your personal brand. So just, I know you all know this, but just a good reminder, being negative is the kiss of death. It really is. And, you can even feel people's energy through the screen or in person, when people walk in a room. And a lot of people think, oh, but in an interview, I don't do this. I put on my game face. There is no game face. You carry an energy and it's there. And so we need to really focus on the outcome, not the obstacles. So, yes,
Sarah,
Jim. Yes.
there is a question. How often do you recommend to use mindfulness?
Well, mindfulness is state of being, a way, of how you approach things, but I use it every day, when you're breathing or just bringing yourself back into the present moment, which may feel hard, and we always have to practice that. The practice of mindfulness is just that, a practice. Even, Buddhist monks and people who do this all the time are always bringing themselves back into the present moment. We're always going to our minds are going to wander some. The more you do it, the better you get, the more automatic you're going to be. If you find your mind wandering, and today too, during this, take a couple breaths, just bring your mind back in focus. I hope that answers the question. It doesn't have to take any extra time. It's about how you are. But you can do extra things. I'll talk about that at the end. But the very essence of mindfulness is staying present. So one thing we do is we tend to identify with our feelings, but a gentle reminder, your feelings are not you. So even something like our word choice or what we're thinking, instead of saying, I am anxious, it's I feel anxious. Just that externalizes it so that you can have some perspective, take a step back. I know in job search is hard. There's many highs, there's lows, it's very up and down. It's not often not logical or linear. We are dealing with the effects of job loss, the subsequent rejections, ongoing uncertainty, financial worry. It can really mess with your head. It can really knock you down, and that's normal. But ultimately, remember these strong emotions, the anger, sadness, anxiety, frustration, they're not you. Detach and distance. I gave you an example of the word choice. Remind yourself they're thoughts and feelings, and they can be changed. Use what's called a camera technique, and imagine you are watching your life like someone behind a camera. It externalizes, that emotion. It makes it a little easier to deal with. Compartmentalize when you need to. Just let it be. Don't engage with it. And here's another slide about it. Be like the Beatles and let it be. Speaking words of wisdom. Let it be. Let it be. Imagine me with a lighter here with a light if you need to, or whatever. But the point is, if you don't engage with emotion, a lot of our emotions and thoughts tend to pass through us in 90 seconds. But if we start to engage with them and we start thinking, oh, I'm feeling anxious. Oh, I'm going to be afraid of having a panic attack. And that's very much how a panic attack comes on, is you're engaging with it. You're worrying, something happens and you vent to other people, you talk about it or whatever. Well, you give it life. And it's much harder to get rid of and to deal with. so many things if you just let them go by like clouds in the sky. They will pass. Our tendency is to engage with them, but just try to let them pass. If need be, put your worries aside and say, I'm not going to deal with that until 4 o'clock or whatever. A lot of those worries will take care of themselves before you even get there. So that's another way to contain the worry. I'm going to give this 15 minutes at 4 o'clock and then I'll be done with it, so that you can just keep moving forward in your day. Okay, so in my promo, I talked about there are the 3 P's of presence in job search. So purpose, pivoting, and pacing. So I will get right into that. So purpose, see the big picture. So these are the flappers of the 1920s. After the Great Flu pandemic of 1918, it was followed by the Roaring Twenties. So we need to remember that bad times don't last. Don't go too far ahead in history, because I know the Great Depression then hit us. But, just like job search, history goes up and it goes down. But history shows us that it's possible to come through a bad time and that better times can be ahead. So just like our job search, here's another example. From the plague in the mid-1300s, the deadliest pandemic in recorded history, it killed between 75 and 200 million. It was followed by the Renaissance, really a rebirth. The Renaissance means rebirth in French. It was a revival of classical learning and wisdom. So much great art and literature that we continue to appreciate to this day. A John Hopkins scholar even describes our current pandemic as an accelerator of mental renewal. So mental renewal in a period of radical adjustment. So obviously there's been a lot of job loss and loss of people, a lot of devastation in the pandemic. I get that. But, we have had some changes as well that aren't all bad. There are some new opportunities. I remember when I went back and got my master's in counseling, and I was really focusing on career counseling. And I remember even back then and before talking about we're going to move to more remote work. Well, it's taken us a long time to get there, but I really think now we're going to have a lot more options that way. It's going to equalize things, particularly for women who tend more to stay home with kids and take a break from their careers. With remote work, it could be more possible to do that. I know right now we have a problem with childcare, but ultimately I think it's going to be really more equalizing for all of us, and creating a better balance for parents and work is opening up geographic opportunity. We're not just limited to where we are right now. And I think some of these things are bound to continue. I know with my own work, I never thought I would do remote counseling. Now I have it. Now I'll always offer it as an option, even when I am back at the office. I can see the value of it. So there are going to be new careers coming out of this within your industry or in others. You might be able to create a new career out of this. And even though there will be new things and good things, there's also a return to our roots and a revival. And what's old is new. So I don't know, you see this picture here. Some of you may know what this is, and it may be new to some of you. I didn't know about it till I saw it recently, but it's called, and I'm not sure I'm saying this right, Bruschetta del Vino, literally in Italian, a wine hole. So these wine holes have been around since the time of the Renaissance. One way to avoid taxes, but also aristocrats used it to dispense wine and sell wine and give wine from their own wine cellars with a minimum of physical contact with whoever might be coming. Well, restaurants and bars are using, having to rethink how to serve customers, and are using things like this in Italy. Um, so purpose in transition. Career is only one source of meaning and purpose, and it's very limiting. So many people, particularly men, you know, career gives them their purpose. But it's, you know, women tend to have more purposes that they're aware of or whatever. But right now, when you are between successes, as they say, you know, think in terms of what gives your life meaning. Look to your personal values. You choose your purpose in life. Don't wait for it to be bestowed. Don't wait for your next job to find purpose. You know, it always helps to focus on other people. You know, I see people, the ones who really help others in Job Club and focus on others, they get the most help back, but they also find a purpose, and they seem to be more resilient, and seem to be, you know, get a lot of good feedback from themselves too. So, you know, a couple great examples of this, and I'm sure most of you have heard of Viktor Frankl, but he was the Austrian psychiatrist or psychologist, one of the two, during the Holocaust. And he really survived when others didn't by taking care of others in the death camps, or the death camp he was in. And then I recently heard about or read about janitors in a hospital. You know, their purpose at this particular hospital was they were taking care of patients by coming and cleaning the rooms where patients were in, making things nice for patients, even changing artwork on the walls of comatose patients, that might have some beneficial effect, or if the people came to. So it's how you define your purpose that matters. So another P, mindful pivoting. We all face disruptions in our life in the way our career is supposed to be, the trajectory we're on. Transitions are only becoming more plentiful, so we need to master the skills to manage them, because there will be more. So we need to be mindful of our support systems and reach out to them. You know, every so often you hear somebody who's in job search and doesn't, you know, is embarrassed or whatever, and doesn't let people in their lives know, doesn't reach out and let people know they're looking, and ask for suggestions of what they can do and connect with others. They close in. Reframe this job search as a gateway to growth. Don't fight the reality of what is, but engage your energies in moving forward, even fractionally. Some days it won't feel like you are, but every little fraction you move forward eventually adds up to a whole if you keep moving forward. There's always something more that can be done. There's always something different to try. If you're out of ideas, look at your list of all these great ideas you pick up at webinars and workshops. You know, talk to people like me, Jim, Jennifer. We can come up and we can see things differently. We can come up with other ideas. There's always more to do than we can ever do. Don't let that overwhelm you, but let that be hope that there's always something else that can be tried that might change things. What are your success factors? You know, I'm constantly amazed too that what made people successful, they aren't using to creatively leverage and apply their professional skills to their search. You know, job search can feel divorced from your life and so foreign to your career, like you're completely starting over and you don't know what to do. But as much as you can, try to focus and use those things that have made you a successful person and successful in your career as possible. It might not be immediately obvious, but think about it. Talk with someone like me or Jim or Jennifer. You know, project manage your job search. If you're a project manager, apply those tools of project management. If you're a salesperson, use your selling, your marketing skills. You know, I've met many salespeople who are very good at what they do, but they aren't so good at selling themselves. You know, externalize, you know, see yourself as a product you're selling if you have to, but you have all those great sales skills a lot of us don't necessarily have. use those. I know my former career was in journalism. I was a writer and editor. I could write a great cover letter. I could write a good resume. And I got a great rate of return on that. I really leveraged that. I also, when I changed careers, offered my ability to market myself to go into private practice, and, you know, offered that I could help market the practice as well as my own practice. And it worked, and I got a job that way too. So really think and apply those things. Also review your just personal character strengths and assess how you can apply them to job search besides your professional skills. You know, I do a structured exercise with clients to help them ID some of these strengths and how they can apply them. But there are lots of things out there. You know, there's Strength Finder, there's the VIA Character Strength Survey. You can Google that and find that very easily. There's 16personalities.com, which is, you know, an online free version of the Myers-Briggs personality type indicator, but it has a lot of good information there that you might be able to incorporate in your job search, how you approach things. There's 2 or 3 good sections that are even focused just on career. So even though it's a general personality survey, there are many things that you can use. So there's that. You know, I'm sure Jim and Jennifer are familiar with the 2-month resume phenomenon, or they've probably seen variations of this. I'm here to tell you, as a writer and editor, there is no one perfect resume, but far too often I see people who have been working on their resume for 2 months without really applying. Just like a dissertation, a done resume is a good resume. You know, that's the best kind of resume. I understand about the ATS, and you know, I see a lot of fear about getting your resume through the ATS. But a resume should be a living document. There's no one size that fits all, and you're always constantly changing things, tweaking things to target, like in real estate, location, location, location. With a resume, it's target, target, target. Not that you rewrite the whole thing, you know that, but the more you target what you're going after, you know, your sales pitch is not going to be the same for every employer, and you are going to need to get some of those keywords in to get through the ATSs. And your resume is only getting you an interview, not the job. Don't give your whole history. Don't make it that historical, other than some chronology of your job experience. You know, and the resume is usually the first thing that people focus on once they lose their job. But you know, if you're more at the starting point, focus on what is your goal. It's really hard to write a resume if you're not really sure what it is you want to do next. Get that straight, then work on your resume. You know, often when people are spending an inordinate amount of time in their resume, there's something else going on. They're fearing the rejection, the failure, the future, the unknown. They're delaying the inevitable. I don't want a job search, you know, or it could be simple procrastination or writing phobia. And I highly encourage you to write your own resume. In many cases, unless you're close to retirement, you know, instead of going out and spending hundreds of dollars, learn how to write your own resume. You know, if you go to Resume Writer, I've yet to see one that's really great, and they're using a lot of stock phrases, and I've seen a lot of bad ones. So it really behooves you to really write your own. Only you can really talk best to your experience. So it looks like we might have a question, Jim. Do I need to stop?
Yes. What is the best in your opinion? Strength finders, or you know, I guess what's the best?
Right. So Strength Finders, I know of it. I've taken it once myself, but I'm not as familiar, frankly, with Strength Finders as some of the others. You know, I like the VIA Character Strength Survey. It's been scientifically validated. I like 16 personalities. For skills, I like, going on ONET. I like the strong interest inventory, which is something you could get through some places. You could get it through your local community college of the district you live in. That's another good one. So there are lots of great assessments out there. Even better understanding your personality and your work personality really helps. Okay.
I think that's it. Is someone clicking, or because that's coming in? Okay.
Okay.
All righty. Go
Okay.
ahead.
All right.
Nothing else.
Okay. Thank you. So curate your life, curate your mindful attention. Your attention and energy are finite resources. I recommend turning off those breaking news alerts. Don't be so connected. Put your phone in another room. You need some uninterrupted, sustained attention and time to focus on what you need to do. Carve out time to think strategically without interruption. Turn off all the electronics. Schedule on your calendar. People do that's the first thing in the morning or the last thing at night. In the morning, come up with your two or three main things you really need to get accomplished. Apply for a job or two first, and then move on, things like that, and really focus on those things. Some people say, well, that's not enough. Well, you get those things done and you will move on. You build up momentum. Here's a picture of a worry bully. I use this with kids, but tell your worry bully, those worries that interfere with your attention, tell it to get lost, tell it to scram, tell it no, don't let that take away from your attention. There's a concept called selective neglect. Wisdom lies in not doing it all, but knowing what to do. Remember, no is the complete answer. If you're being asked to do something or whatever, decide what you can let go and let it go. Pacing, the third P, we set our own pace. Your pace may be different than my pace, but stay at a steady pace, to avoid burnout. And we can get very burned out. And I think, the stress in job search is very depleting. Go slow to go fast, meaning be strategic, be intentional. Don't be always doing. Some of this is, being very intentional, very strategic. Have a roadmap, know what you're doing every day. A lot of people do resist for some reason, kind of having, planning out what they're going to do each day and each week. How do you keep track of what you're doing? How do you keep yourself on course without something of a roadmap? But that's why I say too, just have, maybe three main things and then go on from there each day. Don't have these endless to-do lists that can just paralyze you. Just do things that are really important. The rest will follow. Be realistic about what you can accomplish and what you can take on, and allow for the unexpected. I don't know if we have any Japanese attendees who know how to really say this, but there's a Japanese term called yutori, which means building in transition time, which is, elbow room, leeway, margin, allowance. Don't, take it at an even pace, but don't be rushed. Be mindfully aware. Leave time to fit in the unexpected, because there will be the unexpected. I had somebody for a long time, for quite a while in Job Club before he landed a great job. He always came a half hour early, and then he had really great one-on-one conversations with people as they came in. And then he didn't rush right out of the room either at the end of it. He was really building in that transition time. So that's something I encourage you to do too. And take things step by step. I talked about being realistic. What happens if you add another pot on the stove, so to speak? this looks like a great meal, perhaps a Thanksgiving meal. I see the cranberries, but it could all you could end up with a mess. You put one more pot on there, several things might fall to the floor. Be aware of doing, if you're trying to do too much all at once, just go step by step. You can't do everything. Spread out your workload so it's manageable. Plan it out. Work during work hours. Get up like you have a job to go off to. You do have a job. You may be doing it from home. You may be doing it from Starbucks. But, have your work hours. Take your timeouts. You need to refresh and revitalize, and then get done. Figure out what you're going to do the next day and then finish up. Have your dinner. Take your evening off. Don't be job searching in the evening. Then go back to it fresh the next day. People who do this tend not to burn out so much. People who burn out tend to send out a flood of resumes, wear themselves out, lose momentum until they gain back some energy and then go back at it again. Just go at it day by day, just like you would if you were in the office and you had a boss managing your workload. Just put in steady, consistent progress, have the momentum, the consistent effort, take time out to breathe, pace yourself, take care of yourself. And this is a great reminder and to have some self-awareness that not only are you trying to manage your energy and conserve your energy, but be responsible for the energy that you bring and you carry. So hopefully you can all read this on your screens from a university health system in Indiana. Take responsibility for the energy you're breathing in. It matters. Your words matter. Your behavior matters to those who are around you and to yourself. Take a slow, deep breath in between things. Take a couple breaths before you go into job clubs so you can present your best self. And again, a reminder, control your breathing. I find I can best regulate myself in my demeanor, how I'm feeling, by mindfully controlling my breathing. Of course, you can't focus on it every minute, but anytime you're feeling anxious, just do a couple deep breaths, breathe in, breathe out. There are a lot of good physiological reasons for this, but you're putting fresh oxygen into your bloodstream. It's carried to your brain. If you're not breathing well, you may not be thinking well. It lowers your blood pressure. Just slow your breath down. Breathe low and slow all the way down into your belly and up. It's the easiest, most accessible form of self-care. You always have it with you. So, if nothing else, just focus on your breathing. Just focus on being in the present. That's all you need to do. And then you can be very mindful without doing meditating or anything else. So just as if you want to learn more techniques, and Jennifer alerted me to this, Headspace is a great mindful app. It's free right now to people who are in job search for a whole year. Check it out if you haven't before. Find things that work for you. There's meditations, there's relaxing sounds, there's things to do at bedtime to help you sleep better. There's even workouts on it now. So you can go to headspace.com. There are many others out there, Calm, Breathe to Relax, other things, but I thought I'd bring this one up because it is free for you at this time. So if you have any questions or for more information from me, you can reach me at sarahb@lisle.township.com. And please join us virtually Wednesdays at 9 a.m. at our job club. Just find the link in the calendar, the Career and Networking Center. So with that, I'm done. So thank you very much for being here with me today.
Hey, thank you, Sarah.
Yes.
Are there any questions for Sarah? I don't see anything. Thank you for the great presentation.
Thank you. Hopefully people are being very zen right now and just breathing. They don't want to interrupt that.
Okay. Okay, I'll talk about the presentation here. I'm going to share my screen. So,
Oh, I see there's a question now. I don't know if it's for me.
yeah, I'm going to address all this. Okay. Hopefully. And here it is. Okay, right there. You will get, we will have this posted on worknet DuPage.com/webinars next week. The person doing it is off today, so we will have to download it, edit it. I'm thinking maybe Tuesday. I wish it could be sooner, but that's it for right now. Let's see. Anything else here? I'm just looking through the questions and things like that. Okay. I'm going to continue on. If you have other questions or anything like that, please put them in. Well, here's one while we're talking about DuPage County. I live in Cook County. You still assist those that do not live in DuPage County. I'm going to say it depends. I would recommend you go to your local worknet DuPage. You can always apply here. I know the other offices are open. We've gotten a lot of calls from people who say, well, they're not answering my calls or they're not open. When we check, they are. I would recommend if you live up in Evanston area, then you go towards Evanston and not make the drive out here. But if it makes sense, you can always apply. Alrighty, and that was Deborah. Okay. We do send out a survey questionnaire. We appreciate if you would fill that out. And because we use this to develop workshops and job clubs, things that help and things that are topics of interest to you. So that's how we come up with this. And Sarah, for you, how do you handle difficult family members who want you to get a job fast?
That is a hard one. Yeah. I would say tell them, make sure you are telling them what you are doing, list it out. Often they just don't know, and maybe they haven't looked for a job for a long time and don't realize how much time things take. And proactively, not just in response if they're getting upset with you or why can't you just get a job, but keep them updated regularly on your efforts and what you're doing. Might help to ward off some of that as well. Really talk about what, because fear is often behind that. And if they're not sure what you're doing and how long things really take, especially if they haven't done a job search for a while, that could be behind it. Of course, I have seen, as I'm sure you have too, Jim, sometimes that there are family members who still are, that isn't enough. And at some point you may need some extra help. You may need some couples counseling if it's a partner or something like that. But I think information is your best tool. And, let them see what you're doing, particularly really working at it hard each day when you are doing your work from home. And make sure you are leaving your home enough and connecting with others that can be supportive in your search. So you need that too. You need that positive support. And I say in my job club too, even if you don't have a connection or employer recommendation, give some words of affirmation, some support, or a great elevator pitch today, or something like that to somebody. You don't know if that might be the only positive thing they're hearing this week. They may be hearing some negative.
Okay. We haven't planned on sending out the slides. that will be part of this recording,
Okay.
unless you want to, Sarah. You know, it's up to you. Send it to me.
Okay. Well, so, is anybody asking for it?
Yeah, there's a couple that
Okay.
are
Yeah, I'll send you the slides
okay.
and you can send it.
Yeah, just take us a little longer to do all this. Question: what's the best way to get into the habit of mindfulness?
Well, you kind of staple it to your life. So, like, say, say if you're doing the breathing, connect it with things that you're doing regularly in your day. Like, take a couple deep breaths before you get out of bed to center and ground yourself. Do some breathing before a meal, or before you brush your teeth. Make it easy to remember. Anytime you feel yourself in your head, get out of your head, get into your body, ground yourself in the moment. Ask yourself, am I here right now? What am I doing right now? Like I said, if you keep bringing your attention back to the mindful present, so you can be the most mindful, it will get easier and more automatic. It just takes some more attention in the beginning.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to type in the code for your counselors. Because I know what happened here. Okay, here. I'm sorry. My mouse is crazy. It always is. Those of you who are participating in the program, who have a counselor, either Jennifer, Javon, or one of the others, if you're being funded for training, all you have to do to maintain contact, your part of the grant is you as the participant need to maintain contact with your counselor. So by sending this code, Mindful 302, to your counselor who you're working with, that will show them that you've attended today, and then you can you'll fulfill that requirement of contact. So it is in the chat room, Mindful 302. Like to know when you get a job or your new position. It's very encouraging to others. It's encouraging to us. I remember doing a practice interview at a veterans job fair with some contracting HR group at Navistar. And as I was telling him what I do, he said, I heard the problem, I heard the actions, but I didn't hear the results. And it was like, because I always see people at the beginning of the job search, but few of them ever let me know that they got jobs. And I would recommend that you tell everybody that has helped you along the way to let them know that you got a job. I know you're all focused on, oh, wow, I got a job. But just remember, there's a lot of people who have helped you. And, that allows us, and those of you who have attended any of my seminars know that I love telling stories about people who have succeeded. Whether it's through networking, we just had a gentleman recently who got a job lead from one of the other job club facilitators. He had met one-on-one with the facilitator. The facilitator realized that this individual was deadly serious about finding a job, finding the right position, and gave him one of his personal contacts. And the job seeker followed up, wound up getting the interview, and wound up getting the job. So a couple lessons in there is, one, if someone gives you a referral, follow up. Because there's a lot of times I have followed up with, if I give you a recruiter's name or I give you someone's name, I talk to that person and say, were you called by so-and-so? And they say, no one's ever reached out to me. So, Sarah or myself, Jennifer, if anyone gives you a name, we are giving you the key to the door of hope and assistance. We don't know where it's going to end. We don't know what's in the room, but that's a key for you. Use it, and then thank the person, both the person who helps you or gives you some advice and the person who granted you the name, because that's gold. I used to have one of the speakers used to talk about her golden Rolodex, and now that's old, so it's pieces of gold, and people's names are pieces of gold, and we share them with you, and you're sharing them with other job seekers as well. For us as the workNet DuPage, it helps us keep the program funded. We have to achieve certain metrics to keep the grant program going. 70% of the people have to find jobs to keep the program going, or we go on probation. 80%, if 80% of the people get jobs, we get incentive monies to serve more of the public. So, and I've been here, what's my tenure, 25 years now, in various positions and very many reorgs, surviving those, that we have always made 80%. So I encourage you to let your counselor know, let me know the story so I can help others. By you telling us the story, we can help other people. Because I like telling stories of people who sat there. We've all gone through our own job searches, but I like telling people who sat in the room or has been in the webinar with you. So, you know, the name of the job, the type of job, the salary, and things like that, because Congress is the one who authorizes this whenever they're moving. You know, if they see the program's not working, they'll defund it. And there's been many a times they've cut funding for this program. So please let us know what's going on with you. The next Friday, we have Don Ohlert. He's a senior partner for eCareer Coaching. He'll be talking about branding for the job search, the Apple way. He was with Apple for over 20 years in the marketing department, and he will talk about how you can use the methods that Apple used to market their products to market yourself. Because you're all in sales, and marketing is getting your name out there, getting your brand. You know, whether you're Cheetos or Cheerios or the latest iPhone or Samsung, whatever. What separates you out from everyone else? And I tell you what, I'm going to go to the code again, but this is my email, jfergal@worknetdupage.org. If you have any questions about anything, I encourage you, if you are new to us, go to worknetdupage.org and go to our Get Started screen. And here is the code again. Are there any other questions? Let me just go to the question and answer. Okay. Got a question here. When you spoke of Fields, you were spot on, was laid off from COVID with 32 others. And they said we did nothing wrong as they released us, but in the days ahead, feelings of what I did do and what I could have done. Mindfulness will certainly be helpful in the coming days. Just thought I'd.
Good. Yes, right. You know, don't go backward. Just keep moving forward.
Okay. One of the questions was, is the Illinois Department of Employment Security, Illinois WorkNet Center is open? Illinois Department of Employment Security, which is a partner, is not open to the public. They are all doing everything by phone, which any of you know takes a while. Most of the centers have skeleton staffs. We are on a 50% in the office and 50% remote. And that's how I believe the other offices are. But they do have, like us, we monitor the phones all the time and the emails coming in. So the other offices are supposed to be doing that as well. Don't know when we're going to be seeing people again. You know, when the governor decides, I guess we'll all decide. But right now, Illinois Department of Employment Security is not seeing people on a personal basis. workNet DuPage, we are doing everything virtually as far as the assessment, the application, and even the vouchers. So just so you know, I hope I clarified that for everybody. Is there anything else? If not, I'm going to stop recording here.